Join us to discuss more on Nigeria's bilateral relations with other countries, as well as, how Nigeria can improve on some of these relations to, rake in those foreign direct investments and all of the other benefits that come with this. We're joined in the studio by a former ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago, talking about Ambassador Hassan Jika Aru. Welcome to the program, Ambassador.
Welcome and good morning.
Yes, so in the last few months, Nigeria's president, we've seen Nigeria president go to India, the vice president was in Russia, and most recently, the president was in Saudi Arabia and now Germany. Can you help us understand the reason for all of these bilateral relations and why it's so important, especially, now that some would say many economies across the world are still yet to fully recover from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, for example, the global recession, among other different issues?
Well, good morning, viewers, and welcome to this important program. And it is interesting to talk about Nigerian bilateral relations with other nations of the world, and looking at the current government and the effort made by the current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think it is a very welcome development. First of all, let us look at Nigeria as a country and the position of Nigeria in the world today as regard to trade and investment. If you look at this, we are the largest economy and the most populous Black African nation. And there's a projection that Nigeria will be number 3 in terms of population by the year 2050. If you look at the way population increases geometrically, you will agree with me that Nigeria will surpass many countries of the world. And for every serious government in the world, they know that Nigeria is a business destination. We have the people, the population, we have the raw materials, and we are friendly. All what we need, first of all, is to get enabling environment. And this enabling environment starts from the leadership. There are certain components that you need to have in government before you start thinking of having a good bilateral relations with other nations, because everybody is looking for an investment destination. Every country in the world, everybody wants to increase its GDP, you want to improve infrastructure, development, and without you investing, you won't have such increase in your GDP and the like. Nigeria being located in Africa and the country with the largest population in Africa, with over 200 million people, every developing nation is looking up to Nigeria in Africa. And then Europe, Asia, Middle East, name it. Every country that produces or manufactures goods is looking for where they can sell their goods. So I feel Nigeria occupies a very strategic position in the world today. And we are hardworking and we have the raw materials. So Mr. President is making frantic effort to reach out to those nations. First of all, we need to sell out our country to other nations. We have this, we have that, we have that. In each of our 36 states of the Federation and FCT 37, we have something unique that we can sell to other nations. But who will take that responsibility? The president is number 1 because he's the leader of the nation, and he needs to make himself available to his colleagues in other countries. Then they will see reason why they need to invest in Nigeria.
All right, Ambassador. Now, talking about how to make Nigeria more enticing for these investors, because one thing we know is that investors would always make their own research before they even make plans on investing in a particular country. So, as a diplomat who has seen the other side of outside Nigeria and then Nigeria, do you think we have an enabling environment with the current situation now to attract those investors?
But you see, before now, in the past, I think we've been experiencing some challenges, but with the changes in government over the years, coming from, I'm not talking because I'm coming from a particular political party, but I'm talking about Nigeria, because we should be speaking as nationalists. We're looking at it that before now, we are under a military regime. And people were looking at that many developed countries were not interested in investing in countries that are under military regime. But looking at the successive handing over power from civilian to civilian over the years, from Obasanjo to Yaradua to Jonathan to Buhari now successfully handed over power to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is a philanthropist, who is an investor, who is an astute politician, and who has seen it all and is into investment over the years. And he has a track record. If you look at how he handled Lagos, how he developed Lagos, then everybody, all of us, we feel that the right person is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Ambassador, let me paint you this picture. So, on the 29th of May, the president came out and said, subsidy is gone. That was what, for a couple of months, the president has been known for saying. But just very recently, I think at the German G20 Africa Summit, he said, we are open for business. And interestingly, this has been what, for quite a number of days, he's been known for. However, the picture, he announced the subsidy removal. The international community, including the IMF and the World Bank, are happy with that decision. However, the decision has not been really the best in terms of the welfare of Nigerians. A lot of people are suffering because of that. Now, he has found himself in a precarious situation where the international community may be happy with this and are willing to invest. But then again, we have, of course, the exchange rate, which the Naira has continued to receive a serious beating from the dollar. Then we also have the issue of insecurity. We also have issues upon issues upon issues. How do you wrap your head around what the president can do to ensure that these investors who are already, quite happy with the government, come into Nigeria to invest despite all of its challenges?
You see, there are things that we need to look at them holistically as Nigerians. And first of all, we need to change our behavior towards government. Changing behavior in the sense that people should be patient enough. This government is just 5-6 months old, and you don't expect miracles to happen within 5-6 months.
But a lot has happened within these 5-6 months.
Yes, but not everything. When you look at it, people are talking about subsidy. I keep on asking, right from the days that I was in government, who are those beneficiaries of this subsidy? And what are they subsidizing? I couldn't get the answer. If you are paying subsidy, whom are you paying this subsidy to? And who are those behind this subsidy? It gets to a point that we concluded that subsidy is a cartel, a group of people who bring themselves together just to enrich themselves. And these are the people that are attracting attention across the globe because they have the resources, they can fight anybody. Now, subsidy removal, we are talking about things that government need to provide to the citizenry. Who are those complaining? Are those elites, the bourgeoisies that are in the cities that are complaining about this subsidy removal? The ordinary villager, what does he know about this subsidy? All what he needs is, first of all, let their children go to school, let him feed himself 3 square meal, and then let him have a source of medication. Yes. And these are things that ordinary person need. And then security. Now, the issue of security we're talking about in this country, sometimes it baffles me when somebody sit down that the government need to, yes, the government need to provide, the government have a role. But I believe it's a collective responsibility. Me, you, and any other person. People in the village, those in the cities, those farmers, those traders, those people walking on the street, we all need to be curious and cautious about our environment.
So how does this administration, how do you think that they can now convince these potential investors that their investments would not just be safe but profitable in Nigeria?
Very easy. Very easy. All what people need is, as an investor, you need to invest in an area where you feel that your resources are secured and you can repatriate your proceed as at when due. And Nigeria is trying to work out. If you look at the policies introduced by the current CBN governor and other agencies that are affiliated with the policy making decision in the country, they are working hard to make sure that everybody has developed that interest in this country and knows that their investment is safe in this country. Because without them being having that from the government, that the belief from the government, is nobody would like to invest. And that is what the president, the vice president, and the minister of foreign affairs, minister of commerce, and other ministers are working hard to make sure that people now understood that, look, Nigeria is a safe country. Some of the reports that you see are not genuine, are not the genuine reports. People are trying to just to make the government look as if, no, Nigeria is not a good place. These are Nigerians. I think we should be patriotic enough. Like whatever you are reporting out, you don't see people from the US, from the UK, and all other developed countries, even our neighbors here, the African countries. They don't go out castigating their own leaders and their country. They try to attract people and tell them what is right. Some of the reports that you will be surprised that some of the reports you read in the social media and some of the reports that are being carried out are fake reports. And you're talking about IMF and others. These are people that are working to attract their own interests too as well. We joined the IMF during the military regime. What benefit have we derived from the IMF since then? But look at now, any economy that is thriving, they will try to infiltrate into that economy and make sure that they benefit also from that economy, because it's a two-way traffic. We benefit from them, they benefit from us. So we need to work together. So we need to do away with some of these fake reports that people are reading in the newspapers and the rest of things.
All right, Ambassador, let's talk about the president. You mentioned, I mean, Nigerians, as, saw that play out before our eyes, where we saw, the main stakeholders. We see the vice president going to other countries in order to keep a good and healthy relationship. We saw even the federal, the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, also, welcoming other other foreign investors. So we saw this playing before our eyes, but then there is still a bit of shaky relationship between Nigerians and other countries, considering the earlier report that came in about the Dubai visa ban, where from the presidency there was a report saying that
visa ban,
yes, there is, and then they went back.
246 passengers
exactly.
of the Air Peace
so
flight.
it's like the federal government will sit down and have a conversation with these people, but then at the end of the day, it's like there is a communication gap. So how are we going to move forward, in order to make sure that this communication gap is filled, in order to, at the end of the day, also keep a very good diplomatic ties and to yield a positive relationship between these countries?
No, you see, there is a great misconception about what is happening with some of the reports that we have about government. If you look at the issue of Dubai now, the visa ban and the rest of things, people are talking about it, just one individual may decide to do something funny, and as a result, it affects the whole country. That is why I tell you, look, we should be very cautious. Anybody that is departing Nigeria to Dubai or any other country of the world, make sure that he has all his documents genuinely and properly processed. Some of these people, you find out that this visa racketeering and passport racketeering, it's happening. So we need to be cautious and look at it. That is not the fault of the government, but there are some individuals that are bound to diminish Nigeria and then make sure that Nigeria is painted black in the eyes of the world. Some people are out for that. Some because of political gimmicks, some because of personal interest, some because of what they want to earn for themselves. But let us look at government. What is the government itself doing? The government is doing everything humanly possible to make sure that we have a track record across the globe and we do things genuinely, whereby everybody will feel that yes, Nigeria is a responsible country, is a country that we can partner with. But You can't do away with that. You have this across not only Nigeria, but we seem to paint the country black, looking at certain things that when one person commit a crime and as a result it affects others, then
so whose fault was it, Ambassador? The release from the presidency, and then we did not hear anything from the UAE.
As citizens of this country, we need to behave as responsible citizens. If I am traveling today, or you are traveling, or anybody today, make sure that you have all your record genuinely processed by the appropriate authority. You have your record, nobody stops you. I have traveled across the globe. I have not been stopped in any way because I make sure that all my records are intact. But so many people are in the rush. Like what you said about the airpiece now. You find that there are some documentation that they ought to do. Servicing aircraft is one of those things that you need to service your aircraft to make sure this aircraft is worthy of flying. These are people who are professional. When they discover that they cannot put their country at risk, when you are not careful about your own, they ought to be careful about their own safety too. So when you are bringing people, when you know that somebody doesn't have a genuine document and you are bringing him into the country, they will not allow that to happen. So sometimes they do that in order to guide us. They are helping us, not that they hate Nigeria. Everybody wants to invest in Nigeria. Everybody wants to come to Nigeria because it's an investment destination. But they want to have a genuine record of everybody traveling to the country or out of the country. And that is what we should be preaching to our people and our leaders.
All right, Ambassador, thank you very much for that response. However, we'll be going on a break now, and when we return, the conversation continues. Stay with us.
Human beings know what is right. If they don't want to do what is right, they will give you 1,001 reasons why they are doing the wrong things.
They see themselves as conquerors, and other people have been conquered.
When the opposition and the press keep parroting that phrase, government has failed, but we will not be here, hold on, we will not be here, sitting down here, if government has failed.
There has been almost total collapse of the security outfit, and the terrorists are taking advantage of this.
On that, a country that has about 923 square kilometers of arable land, not more than 2.5% has been cultivated.
Of course, you, the Nigerian citizen, will also have your say via our phone-in numbers on your screen.
The issue of appointment in Nigeria has become more political than doing the right thing for the country.
Welcome to Trust TV, where we document the Nigerian story. Our programming showcases the rich culture and diversity of Nigeria. We strive to amplify the voices that make our nation unique. Our programming is designed to take you on a journey through the different tastes of entertainment in our country. We showcase the best of Nigerian culture, from traditional craft to cutting-edge technology. Our team of expert journalists are dedicated to unveiling the intricacies of our culture and telling the untold stories that binds us all. And let's not forget the food. Nigeria has diverse and flavorful cuisines, some of the favorites to millions across the world. What is Nigeria without its people, their passions and their talent? Trust TV is not just a channel, it's a platform that brings you closer to everything that makes Nigeria great. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back to Daybreaker. Thank you for staying with us. We still have with us Ambassador Hassan Jika Aido, the former ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago, with us talking about the diplomatic or bilateral relationship between Nigeria and other countries and how it will be beneficial to the country. Thank you for staying with us, Ambassador. So talking about, the painting of Nigeria to the world. I mean, if there is one thing we agree with, is Nigeria is one of the most popular African country in the world, where we see it's been mentioned in different, scenarios, movies and all that. But then there is always that we've gotten to a point where when you mention Nigeria, even in the Dubai, which was one of the reasons why there was a ban, and other situations, there is always that negative perception of Nigerians and our behavior. So how do you think this would be? Do you think this would be a blockage? Would it be a very difficult situation for the president and other ministers or necessary people that are supposed to help us get this great bilateral diplomatic ties with other countries? Do you think it would be a problem for them?
No, I don't think it will count much on that, because we go back to the basis. We look at that. Nigeria, as we said, is over 200 million people. Then how many Nigerians that are called, these are bad people that they are misbehaving? They are not up to 2%. But this is what, I'm sorry to say, some of you in the media, you amplify it more than any other thing. But we're not talking about Nigerians.
Calling a spade a spade. No, so if somebody does bad, we call the person out, and if someone does good, we also call
now the best Nigerian who owned the Heathrow Airport is a Nigerian. What can you say about him? The best Nigerian doctors that we have in the Caribbean, in the US, in the UK, what do you say about them?
We reported them so many times.
So that now, that's the basis of comparison. How many, the basis of comparison should be the number of Nigerians that are well behaved and are performing well across the globe, and then the number of Nigerians that are misbehaving. In every society, in your family, in your home, in your house, you may have some exceptional behaviors. The fact that you have those does not mean that that house is a bad house. It's maybe 1%. One child is misbehaving, or somebody from the family is misbehaving. But it doesn't matter. The entire family is bad. So Nigeria is a good country, and is everybody talks about Nigeria. If you go to the US, if you go to Germany, you go to Russia, UK, name it, Middle East, wherever. If you go, Nigeria is a great country.
Ambassador, we are seeing countries like Kenya and Rwanda taking forward-thinking approaches, such as making entry visas into their country absolutely free and unnecessary for African citizens and nationals. Of course, we know that it starts in 2024, and perhaps the entire process is still being hashed out. But do you think that Nigeria probably needs something like this? Open the borders to Africa and Africans in order to improve, the potentials of increasing foreign investment, increasing Nigeria's relationship with other African countries, and also opening Africa to Africans, finally, because we don't see all of these blockages in, continents such as Europe. We see how interconnected Europe is, and Europe is used as the gold standard when describing accessibility from one European country to another. So
when you have visa for one country,
but
then you can extend to others.
The borders are closed, the airspaces are closed. It makes it difficult for one to do business from, say, Nigeria to Namibia. It's difficult. You have to travel from one airport, make a stopover at Ethiopia before you travel somewhere else.
You see, there are so many things. There are so many things that are interconnected in this kind of issues like this. If you look at Europe, the fact that you have, in most countries, they are homogeneous people, and they believe in their own country. They believe in their own leaders. They work together, and they make sure that everybody behave within the confinement of the law.
Nigerians don't behave that way.
You see, the problem is not Nigeria doesn't behave. Some Nigerians behave there, but some few Nigerians, because of their own selfish interest, because a good number of Nigerians are greedy in nature, because of their own selfish interest, because it's not one of their own that is in power or is in the system, they try to bastardize that government and then paint it black for people to say that these are bad people, blah, 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 blah. These are things that some Nigerians do, which is bad. And sometimes our behavior is not regulated. The excess of some behaviors is too much. We need to instill discipline in our country, in ourselves. Sometimes you don't need government. You yourself, you sit down and think, what am I? Am I doing the right thing? Am I patriotic to my country? We need to be patriotic. Then, thirdly, you're talking about, you have the ECOWAS, you have the CEDEAO and other things, especially in Africa. As Africans, we need to travel freely across the country. First of all, you find out that a good number of countries doesn't have the infrastructure. Sometimes in some of these African countries, they will only have one international flight a day. Sometimes they may not even have one international flight. Even if you want to go to that country, you have to wait until the day that flight is scheduled to travel to fly to that country. So some of the impediment that we have, and don't forget, there are people that are working that Africans should not develop itself, because if we develop, we may not go to other countries too. And they need us to go there, because by the time you visit Europe, you visit Asia.
Is that such a bad thing, Ambassador, if Africa develops and decides not to visit other countries of the world?
No. The issue is, let people visit you. If any country that attracts visitors, what makes the US to be different? They attract visitors. They allow visitors to come into US, but they come in genuinely to proper channel. But in Africa, if you now allow that, open your borders, and let me tell you, Nigeria has one of the most porous border in Africa. And that is where people are accusing that now the insecurity we have, they are accusing, these people are coming. No, that is not true. First of all, let us look at ourselves, our behavior. What do we do? What are we doing? Are we patriotic? Are we tolerant? Are we accepting ourselves as Africans? Are we tolerating each other? Are we ready to embrace each other? That is what we need to look at first. Then others will emulate from us. Then, if now I'm traveling to Ghana, for instance, and a European came into Nigeria and we flew to Ghana together, first of all, they will attend to the European first before me. This is an African country. These are some of the dichotomy that we have. These are some of the challenges that we have. Even in Nigeria here, there was a time I traveled. I went to India. We landed in Lagos through Dubai from Emirates. First of all, they have to clear all the white men that came in before attending to us. From 11:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., I was at the airport.
So that means we value the outsiders more than us. We value the
outsiders more than our own brothers, our African brothers. So what we need is treat human beings equally, and then look at them holistically and treat them according to the law. So we do that, we attract so many people, and people will be happy with us that look, and be friendly. Sometimes the way your approach to issues matters a lot. The way we approach issues, sometimes our Nigerians, if you see them in this country now, they behave as if they are demigods. If they travel out, they are always too careful that they don't want to break the law. They if you look critically,
when they're outside Nigeria,
we saw that. All right, Ambassador, let's talk about attracting people to come back to our country to not only invest. Also, we know how other countries have actually made progress with tourism. Right, and I think earlier this month or last month, and then there was a celebration of historic slave trading, history that happened in Badagry, something like that, and it attracted people from Kenya and other people to come here. So we know that one thing is for sure: we have the culture. And we have the traditions to use in order to attract people to come. But at this point, it's like we're losing a bit of our culture. One of the people that we can say they're still holding on to their culture real strong is the people from Benin. They're still holding on to the monarchy, to all the traditions.
Quite a number of cultures are still
indeed. So how do you think that we can use this to our advantage? Go back for the federal government to take care of our culture, make it look more attractive in order to get tourism.
You see, when you talk about tourism, I'm just looking at it where I serve as a Nigerian High Commissioner in Trinidad. It's a tourist area. It's a very fine, fantastic area. You see the carnival that they hosted. Almost every part of the world they comes for the carnival.
I know they do something like carnivals, okay.
Yeah, and you see, another thing is that there are things that we need to do. There are some certain infrastructure that we need to put in place. I came from Sardona local government, Mambila Plateau in Taraba State. It's one of the unique environment that need to be developed. Once that place is developed, you don't need to go to Europe. Go there, see the waterfall, the undulating mountain, and the fine sceneries that there is cool. You don't have mosquitoes, you don't have nothing. It's greenish. So if we develop those areas, you attract people. But first of all, that is why I always cherish the way and manner this present government, I'm not saying it because it's our government, but it's a statement of fact, that the approach towards developing this country, short term, medium term, and long term. Now, if we develop our infrastructure, especially the recent bilateral relations signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with the German Chancellor regarding power, is key to every country to develop. If you don't have source of power, development would be a very serious impediment. Because I serve in the Caribbean. For the 3 years I have served in the Caribbean, I think we have light outreach 3 times in 3 years.
Interesting.
3 times. They took off light, and before they take off that light, they will send you a message. Look, from so time to so time, you will be up. Please, you can make alternative arrangement for your fridges and other things before the light returns for maintenance purpose. But we have these challenges.
Isn't this the same old story? I mean, in the last 8 years, we saw former President Muhammadu Buhari also travel. In fact, there was a time that he was given the name the most traveled president in Nigeria. We saw him visit countries in Asia, in Europe, in South America, North America. In fact, the president traveled across the world, and the expectation was that, you know, the economy was going to improve. At some point, a lot of Nigerians were really, really enthusiastic as to the future of Nigeria, but we didn't really see that materialize, did we? So now we are seeing a repetition of the same thing. So far, the Nigerian president in the last few months has traveled to so many countries. What can the Nigerians hold on to as a collateral that this time is going to be different?
No, my brother, if you look at it, President Muhammadu Buhari traveled a lot across the globe, trying to woo investors, attracting a bit. It depends on the people that you put in the mantle of leadership, because you cannot be everywhere.
It's not just on the leader alone.
Yes, it's not just the leader himself, but those people that are ready to partner with you and make this country a great country. Look at this kind of the Mambila Hydro that was in the pipeline for the past 40 years was being frustrated by then the governor and the minister himself. They frustrated it. But not that political will. The president has that political will, but he needs people to execute that project. And that project was not executed. And if that project was executed, the whole of, I think it will be one of the largest source of power in the whole country from one source. No, it was frustrated. Why was it so? Some people were not interested in having that, because what they are looking at, that should not be an achievement of President Muhammadu Buhari.
Oh, wow.
That is the challenge we have. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is moving on fast and is ready to build on the foundation and make sure that this country is self-reliant, self-sufficient. But there are some people, again, that are still working tirelessly to make sure they're frustrated because it is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that is in the mantle of leadership. I think that is not how we work. If you look at developed countries, what they do is, if you have any program that will attract investors and will touch the life of the citizenry, they will build on it. Look at Obama, look at Biden, look at every program that touches the life of the citizens. They are solidly behind it, they work on it. But that is not our attitude in Nigeria.
Ambassador, so looking ahead, you know, what are the strategies that you think the country should prioritize in order to make sure to enhance this diversity in bilateral relationship with various countries?
See, the president is making frantic effort to cement the relationship with, between Nigeria and other nations. Then what we need is to have good representatives. When I say good representative, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, from ambassadors that will be appointed that have the passion to develop this country, to sell out this country, and then to attract investors from other countries to come into Nigeria and invest. And then not only that, us exporting our raw materials, but attracting people to come and invest in this country. If you look at it in the 80s, instead of you carrying this, you have some companies like the Sanyo, like the Peugeot Automobile, and they are coming to invest in Nigeria, and that serves as a source of employment to our teeming youth that are graduating. But now, instead of investing, coming to invest, set up an industry in Nigeria, we are now carrying the raw material abroad. And at the end of the day, our youths are unemployed. If you look at it today, Nigeria, government is the highest employer of labor in this country. If we have good industries that are working, we have source of power, and people are coming to invest, instead of us taking our raw material abroad, they will come in to invest in this country. Then it will be served as a source of employment, and all our youth will be employed. The Mambila Hydro we're talking about, if that project took off, 75,000 youth will be employed in that project. Just imagine 75,000 being employed in one sector. It's enough for us.
That's a huge number. Well, we just hope, yes, to see a good result. You know, we hope that the president and his cabinet are able to lead the country forward into bringing investors, foreign investors to the country, and of course, getting Nigeria from the developing country to developed country. It will be a great achievement for us. Thank you so much, Ambassador Hassan Jika, for joining us, the former ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you so much for your input.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.